Good day, everybody, and good afternoon, Iran's time. This is Dr. Hemati. My first name is Peyman, so maybe you want to call me Peyman because this is simpler. I am the senior expert of Iran's CDC, and I have worked in CDC for about 20 years. So this is my honor to be at your disposal for today's meeting. And I think this is a very important training conducted by COMSTECH. Also, I would like to give my sincere appreciation to the organizers and my colleagues in Pasteur Institute of Iran to bring me this opportunity to give this presentation to you dignified colleagues. So the title of the presentation is the role and status of international health regulations and how we can actually do a rapid risk assessment of the spread of national or international health emergency according to the IHR principles. So simply put, we want to gain practical skills, how to conduct a rapid risk assessment after seeing an event in the jurisdiction of our countries, say at the county or district level, and how we can assess the risk of rapid spread of that outbreak or epidemic at the national and then at the international level. So this is the title. At the end of this workshop, we would like that the participants to identify the core capacities required for the border health surveillance and define a public health emergency of international concern or FAIC using the relevant articles in IHR. Another objective of this training session is explain the articles in the IHR relating to the reporting of such events. The next objective would be to define the criteria that we use in determining such events. For example, in my country, how we should notify the higher IHR authorities in the country using the Annex 2, which is the standard tool for assessing the risk of national or international spread of an event in IHR. And finally, to conduct a rapid risk assessment using the model scenario that we would discuss on that during this training. So let me share another PowerPoint presentation for you. This is a small group discussion, and according to the pictures I received from the training, I guess that the number of participants is around 30 to 40 people. So I would like you guys to divide in 3 to 4 groups for this discussion, and the time for discussion would be around 10 minutes. So let me share with you the first scenario for a small group discussion. دارین خانم دکتر؟ Can you see the first scenario? Small group discussion. دارید خانم دکتر؟
Yes, sir, we can see kindly full screen it.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. So that's the scenario. And let me, okay. The first scenario. In early spring, the provincial public health CEO visits the border crossings of the province. Suppose about that this is the context of your country, please. So he or she visits the border crossings of the province and port health authorities of the border counties or districts, considering the existing deficiencies, raise issues to improve the health capacities of these points of entry, and present their technical requests for standardization. So I don't know about the level of your service in your countries, but I am explaining and I'm talking about all three levels, whether actually the local level, district level, or provincial level, and at the top, the national level. In what levels that you provide your services, please divide into 3 or 4 groups and try to answer these questions. So considering the visit of provincial public health CEO to the provincial border crossings in early spring, what are your requests to her or him for upgrading and standardizing the health capacities of the provincial points of entry? So our question actually divide in 2 main groups. There are some core capacities that you need at your points of entry for all times, and there are a second type of capacities that you need for responding during the health emergencies. So try to divide the core capacities according to the all times and also during the health emergencies period. And from now, you have 10 minutes for discussion, please. Over to you.
Okay, sir. Sir, we are already divided into 3 to 4 groups, 5 groups total.
Okay.
Okay, 4 groups.
4 groups,
And we
it's
are
okay.
sitting, yeah,
And
we are sitting according.
finally, I would invite the rapporteur of one group, one volunteer group, to report their findings. Okay?
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Over to you.
They have to discuss their findings with the person.
سلام احوال شما. خانم دکتر 2 ساعته وقت من؟ وقت من 2 ساعته؟ اگر یه خورده بیشتر از 2 ساعت باشه میتونم تا سطح ملی رو برم، ولی اگر همون 2 ساعت باشه سطح ملی رو مجبورم چیز رو حذف کنم. حالا هر جور سلام. خیلی ممنون. الان خوبه اوضاع اونجا؟ نه اون نیم ساعت بسه. بعد فکر میکنم حدود یه 3-4 دقیقه دیگه میتونید ختم کار گروهی رو چیز کنید، یکیشون هم بیاد ارائه بده. دقت مثلا البته کم دیگه دقت مثلا 3-4 دقیقه بله مرسی خیلی ممنون خداحافظ
Actually, we should finish in 1 minute. And I want to ask one volunteer to come and, switch for 2 or 3 minutes. In this scenario. So you are volunteers? Others? No? You want? I follow and just short.
Okay, hello, अस्सलाम वालेकुम sir. आप unmute है? हाँ हाँ. Hello. Am I audible?
Please explain. Yes, here, this year.
He is hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
About your scenario.
Okay, sir, the question number 1 was, what are the core capacities necessary for preventing preparedness and response to public health events at point of entries according to IHR 2005? So the answer for A, what are the essential core capacities for all times routine? So it can be at district level, it can be sanitization. We have to bring the awareness in the Hello, Assalamualaikum. Sir, can you hear?
Let me ask him. Is there any problem or not?
بفهمید الو نه فکر میکنم اجازه بدید من چیز کنم فکر میکنم این مشکلی تو بلوتوث هم پیش اومده الان وصل میشم خانم دکتر مرسی خواهش میکنم
He's not able to hear you. Let's fix something. Actually, maybe no. All sets from here. We should check his system.
IT वाले को बुलाओ. ये आवाज नहीं जा रही है. हमारी आ रही है सही. Okay. Hello, sir, can you
Hello.
hear?
Yeah, I can hear
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Okay, so for the answer for the first question, can be for routine. We need to sanitize the people at the district level. We need to start record keeping. We have to screen the travelers who are screening. And in emergency cases, we need to detect the isolated cases from local hospitals and initiate contact spacing.
Okay. Thank you so much. If I understand well, you mainly mentioned about the measures that we should take during emergencies. What about the routine capacities during the peacetime at the points of entry?
Sir, for routine, for point of care testing? Yes, sir, for
Suppose,
routine.
no, suppose that there is no health emergency at the time being. What core capacities should be existed at the points of entry? That was the first part of our question, right?
Hello. Sir, I think it
Hello.
could be a surveillance and early detection in health events, different rapid response and isolation of ill travelers might be, and public health emergency response plan. It could be.
Okay. Thank you. I my intention was just to provide some opportunities for you to discuss and think around the issue. And now let me give the answer to you guys with the aid of the IHR and what actually we can find in the IHR. So let me go to share the second
He
part.
didn't ask.
Yes, if you want. Okay, add something, and Dr. Hamati, she wants to add something. Can you give her 2 minutes?
Okay.
Okay, go. You have just 2 minutes.
So it was when there is no pandemic and when it is routine. So according to IHR, we should monitor the following at the point of entrance. It is surveillance, their health. We should check their health status. We should have the information from where they are coming and where they are going, and we should have proper laboratory services, and we have proper communication, and we have proper workforce to for this is for the routine system according to IHR. And when there is health emergency, then we should have trained personals for the rapid response team, and we have a huge laboratory capacity with good inventory. We should have human resource, and we have a proper preparedness plan and coordination and while media and other things. This is as per according to IHR 2005. The question.
Okay, thank you. I have separated this scenario to different levels. And now, what we actually are discussing are about the points of entry. I think there's no uh, precise right or wrong answer in this situation. I'm just trying to classify the different level of capacities, and I'm I think that all your answers are right, but I would like to give the capacities according to the level. Now we are at the level of points of entry. Of course, we need surveillance, we need rapid response teams, we need to take samples and shipping those, but these are not the pure responsibilities of points of entry. Of course, those are part of the responsibilities of point of entry, but I would like to actually just for the sake of a more effective training session, I would like to give it in actually sectors. And now at the point of view, can you see my shared screen about the capacities at points of entry or not? Is it seen on your screen? کامبیتو میبینید؟ کامبیتو جلالی؟ Dr. Navida, can you see my shared screen? Hello?
Yes, sir.
And Dr. Navida, can you share my shared screen?
Okay, let me check. उनको बुलाओ आईटी वालों को तो बुलाओ शेयर तो कर दी मैंने बिल्कुल ही गायब हो सर कैन यू सी
I think it should be seen at the moment, right?
Okay. Sir, I think your screen is shared. You need to
Okay.
screen it.
Okay. So
ये क्या आ रहा है
the
बीच में?
first,
Sir, there is some black boxes on a screen.
yeah.
Okay, now clear.
Now clear? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, okay. So there are two sets of capacities. The first set for capacities are for all time. And the second, as I mentioned in scenario, the second set of capacities are those which are specific to respond to health emergencies. And what are the core capacities for all time that we need at points of entry according to IHR Annex 1B? The first capacity is having a health unit with appropriate accommodation and sufficient space to provide health services. So we need an office that actually ports to accommodate the health personnel and their equipment. The second part is that we need is our facilities and equipment for transporting sick passengers. In my country, there is an EMS unit which are specifically devoted to ports of entries, whether they are airports, ports, seaports, or ground crossing. The third part is, as you mentioned, as you guys mentioned, we need skilled personnel, competent personnel with equipment and consumables for vehicle inspections. For example, to inspect a ship and issuing ship sanitation certificates. The fourth capacity, core capacity for all times, is actually we need sanitary and safe environment for passengers at the border terminal. So, for example, we need environmental health officers to check for actually safe drinking water, dining facilities, and safe flight catering, health sanitation toilets, and also to appropriate management of solid and liquid waste. So an environmental health expert is mandatory to uh, be at the points of entry. The next is the presence of competent personnel and a program, equipment, and supplies to control vectors or reservoirs, for example, rodenticides, insecticides, in and around the border terminal, as well as the need actually equipment to neutralize microorganisms. I mean the IPC measures, infection prevention and control, cleaning and disinfection of the points of entry. So these are the routine capacities for the peacetime that should be existed all the time. The second set of capacities are those which are appropriate to respond to health emergencies. So the first one, as you mentioned, I think, are existence of contingency plans for health emergencies. For what? For immediate identification and response to the specific events. And in this case, also we need coordinators and contact information for health service officials and executives in that contingency plan. Also trained staff equipped with appropriate personal protective equipment for transporting sick passengers. The next capacity is competent personnel for patient or animal examination that we need. Suppose that there is an Ebola case in a point of entry. For sure, we need a contingency plan and competent personnel to examine that patient. And this is, I think, very clear. We need to have, in addition to that office in the points of entry, we need an extra room for interview and examination and sampling of suspected travelers. We should not take samples in our actually administrative office because there is a risk to contaminate all the equipment and also the personnel that are accommodated there. So we need an additional room according to IHR for interview and examination of the suspected travelers. And the last one is the existence of necessary arrangements for isolation and quarantine of sick animals or sick passengers. For example, in my country, during the COVID-19 time, we had devoted a hotel near the, the designated points of entry. For example, Imam Khomeini Airport, which is the biggest air hub in the country, we had devoted a hotel to quarantine the suspected passengers. So now I would like all of us to go for the second small group discussion, and the discussion for this part would be 15 minutes. And for the plenary, we can actually have a 10-minute plenary to for report of the volunteer one or two groups. But I would like to actually suggest that we have just one group, volunteer group for the plenary. And now let me share with you the second part of our scenario. I think you can see my shared screen now, right? Hello? Dr. Navida, can you see my shared screen? Or a small,
Yes,
the
we
second?
see you.
Okay, okay. So I need a volunteer to read the scenario, please.
Can you put this in full screen?
Yeah,
We need the volunteer to read this. Konaiga
okay.
as a volunteer.
I need a volunteer to read the scenario, please.
Sir, I can read it.
Okay, please.
In late summer, rumors of an acute respiratory disease cases in two cities near the country's borders spread on social networks. These rumors pointed to a rapid increase in cases among residents of the aforementioned cities over the past week due to the entry of sick travelers through the province's ground crossings. In the follow-up and contact of the provincial public health CEO and the director of provincial CDC with port health authorities at the provincial ground crossings, railway and air borders, they say that they have not noticed the entry of such sick travelers. However, the provincial public health CEO cannot help express her serious concern and asks the colleagues to be fully vigilant and take appropriate measures at the POEs in a comprehensive manner. A heavily trafficked international tourist area in a neighboring country is located near one of Iran's two border countries, and information received from returning travelers suggests that corpses of wild birds were seen from place to place on the seaside of that area, although no ban on swimming and water sports had been imposed by local health authorities. Iranian tourists also travel frequently to the area. There are some concerns that the disease may have been spread to Iran by travelers returning from the neighboring country's tourist area. The neighboring country denies the existence of any case with similar symptoms and has not yet responded to WHO's request for verification, and the only source of news is the rumors that have spread on social media.
Next, please.
So I have to read it?
Uh,
The heads of the CDC departments of the two bordering countries will convene an urgent meeting to decide on the appropriate response measures requested by the provincial public health CEO. In the meantime, colleagues from the provincial health center and the national CDC and MOH are also attending at the meeting virtually to assist in determining the appropriate measures, responses of the two countries to this rumor. So, the first question is, what are the country's responsibilities, actions in response to this outbreak? What data items should the country's health center include in its report to the provincial health center?
Will the two countries request assistance from the provincial health center?
Just a point of clarification. In this scenario, to keep the scenario neutralized, I have mentioned my country's name. But actually, please, so please consider your own country. So substitute Iran for your own country to actually to have a more realistic scenario. And these questions, it's not country, it's the county's responsibilities. I mean the district responsibilities in response to this outbreak. So now, from now on, we have 10 minutes for your group's discussion. Please, over to you. One minute for this part. I need somebody from the four groups to come and volunteer herself or himself to report on this part, please.
Sir, group number 3 will be going to volunteer.
Thank you.
ये पढ़ लो लिखे हुए। ये पढ़ लो। How, if you want.
Assalamualaikum, sir. The question was, what are the country responsibilities in response to a outbreak and चल रहा है? अच्छा ये सॉरी Assalamualaikum, sir. The question was, what are the country responsibilities, actions in response to a outbreak endemic? Things I have written is the actions would be taken are immediate detection and verification of the event, notification to the government or province, conduct initial investigations, implement control measures, maintain communication with the provinces, and at the end they will have the regular updates.
Okay. Have you finished?
Yes, it's I have finished the question number 2.
Okay. And
For the question number 3, I have
okay.
written some of the points. The question was, what data items should the country health center include in its report to the province health center about the outbreak according to IHR 2005? The things I have included are description of the event, that is disease, date of onset, and location. The second point is number of cases reported and number of deaths reported. Third point is the lab findings. Fourth point I have written is suspected sources, where it comes from. And the last point I have written is the control measures.
Okay. Have you
And the
finished
last
your?
question I'm working on it.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. I wish I could invite more colleagues to present their groups, but for the sake of time saving, I have to go directly to my short lecture on this part. I hope that you can see my shared screen. Is it visible?
So kindly full screen.
Yeah. Thank you, Navita. Can you see the full screen now?
Sir, my name is Navira.
Okay.
Naveera.
And Navida.
Navira. Ra.
Navira. Okay. Navira.
Okay.
Send me Navida, so please accept my apology to mispronounce your name. So
Okay.
Navira, can you see my full screen now?
Okay. Sir, there is something black on the screen. Okay,
Is
now.
it okay now? Okay.
Yes. So,
So,
according.
yeah, according to IHO 2005, that's the first slide for my short lecture at this part. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay.
So the rapid response team for rapid risk assessment and outbreak investigation of the affected counties are required to collect available health information about the public health event and report it to its affiliated provincial health center.
Nabila, can you allow me to actually present this part, because this is the lecture. This is not scenario?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. So we need the rapid response teams to go to the affected districts or counties, municipality, whatever you mention in your countries. They need to, the rapid response teams, as you mentioned, need to collect available health information about this event. And then, having the gathered information, they should report to their higher level, which is in this case is the affiliated provincial health center. According to the Article 7 of IHR, following the initial notification of the event, the member state, and in this context that we are talking about the county, the affected county shall continue to communicate with the province. And the higher level of the province is national IHR focal point or national CDC in my country, which is actually the designated national focal point as IHR. And they should report health information in full detail. But what are those detailed health information? These are beautifully included in the Article 6, Para 2, and also Annex 1, Paragraph 4B of IHR. So these are the references that explain what are those detailed health information that should be included in the report of rapid response teams. And those are the most key information that should be provided by the district health center and of course the RRT, rapid response team, to the higher level in the province and in the national level. And also these are the minimum information needed to be included in the RRT, rapid response team's report. Those information, as mentioned by our colleague, we need a case definition. In that case definition about this outbreak at the district level, we need to include the clinical symptoms of the cases, of course. We know, all of us know this as the public health officers. We need to explain the affected population, the time, exact time, and place of the event. The next piece of information in the report of rapid response team are in case of availability, we need to know the results of laboratory samples. So in this case, we need an optimal laboratory capacity near the borders, if possible, of course. If not possible, we should ship the samples to the higher level. We need to explain the number of cases, as mentioned by our colleague very appropriately. We need the number of cases and also the fatal cases in our report. We need to include the source and type of hazard. And according to the scenario, it seems that the outbreak would affect the respiratory system based on the manifestations. And in case we can, we also should explain the source, which is not, of course, very clear in this scenario. The next piece of information are conditions or factors which drive spread. I mean the risk factors for spread of the disease. And this piece of information is not available at this part of the scenario, but I will elaborate more on this in the next part of my presentation. And as correctly mentioned, we need to put in place the initial emergency health measures to control the outbreak expansion as much as possible. And in this part, that we do not have access to the results of the laboratory sample, the control measures should be targeted to the syndromic approach that for an outbreak of potential respiratory nature, we should advise those control measures that can contain or control the spread of the respiratory pathogen. And if necessary, we should include, I mean, the rapid response team should include the existing problems that they need to have to get support of the higher level to respond to this health emergency. So the existing problems and the type of supports that they need from the higher level should be included in the report of rapid response team. For example, according to the Article 8 of IHR, one of the assistance requests that we can make in our report as the rapid response team is to ask for consultation, especially when there are insufficient information about the event. According to IHR, member states of WHO can benefit the WHO advice and consultation about the health measures. But when we come to a county or district context, of course, this consultation can be made by the district from its higher level, which in this scenario is the province. So, in conclusion to this point, even a case of doubt, the county can definitely request assistance to assess the risk and issue the recommendations to take appropriate public health measures from its higher level. So this is a principle that the higher levels are here to support the lower level. In this part, I would like to invite all the colleagues to go to the third part of our small group discussion. And for this part, I would suggest that we discuss for 15 minutes and then we go for the large group discussion or plenary for 5 to 10 minutes. And in that part, I would invite another group that has not already presented its report of the group discussion. So let me share the third part of the scenario with you, colleagues.
Anyone who have not yet presented their answer to sir, so they have to present now. Okay. Why not sharing?
And Navira, can you see the third part of scenario?
Yes, sir, sure. So,
Okay, and let me go to the full screen before you.
okay, yes.
Before you.
So, the following questions come to the mind of the respected director of the provincial CDC. Please help him answer them. Question number 3. Given the request from two border counties for provincial health centers assistance, what are the province responsibilities for assistance in response to this mysterious outbreak? Question 3.1. Is the province essentially responsible for reporting this outbreak to the National CDC, IHR, NFP? Are we principally responsible for reporting this event? If yes, why? If no, why? Question number 3.2. If the answer to the first question is yes, what actions do you need to take to report to the outbreak? What is exactly your responsibility? Do you need assistance from the national level, IHR, NFP to carry out those responsibilities, actions? If yes, why? And if no, why?
Thank you very much. And now we have 10 minutes for discussion, please.
Are you people done with writing your remarks on that paper? No. No, then I went. No.
2 minutes to conclude this part, please. 2 minutes. And be prepared for the next presenter.
ये इस ग्रुप से पूछना है ना ये राशिद नाम है ना
नहीं मैं नाम किसी का भी ले दूंगी अच्छा इसका क्या नाम है आमना यूके आमना
So time is over. Next presenter, please come and share your findings in your group.
Okay, yes, sir. From group one, a volunteer is coming.
Thank you.
Okay. The question number 3, the answer is the professional health center must. Number 1 is deploy rapid response and investigation teams to support the two borders countries. Number 2 is verify and assess the situation using data from countries and laboratories. Number 3 is coordinate with the other sectors, animal health and environment and border authorities. Number 4 is provide technical, logistical, and laboratory assistance, test kits, PPE, staff, and transports. Number 5 is strength, surveillance, and infections prevention measure at points of entry. Number 6 point is support communication between the countries and the national CDC. The last point is ensure the rumor verification and risk communication to prevent the public panic. And 3.1 question answer is yes. The provisions is the responsible for reporting the event to the national CDC, HR, IHR, and FP because it aggregates and verifies the data from the affected countries. Professional authorities are the immediate level that ensure accurate and confirmed information is sent to the national level. According to IHR, provisions must notify the national IHR focal point of event with the potential international concern. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And let me share my screen with you. I guess the screen is visible now, right? Nabila, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir, we can see the screen.
Okay, let me, before you warn me, let me go to the full screen. So, now I would like, thank you for your actually participation and engagement, active engagement in your group discussions and your very useful presentation of one of the groups. So now in this part, we want to give, would like to give you an orientation to the articles related to this event in the IHR and what is the fate or public health emergency of international concern. According to the definition provided in IHR, that's an unusual public health event with the following features. It poses a risk to public health in other countries through international spread. It potentially requires a coordinated international response. Although this is actually a simple definition, but I think that's somewhat general and vague, and it does not provide sufficient guidance on the procedures that we need to determine a fake or public health emergency of international concern. But do not worry, We will elaborate on this sufficiently on the next part of this training session. Let me hide this floating panel. The answer to the first question of the director of provincial CDC. Is the province principally responsible for reporting this outbreak to the higher level? That's the national CDC. And in turn, is the national CDC responsible for reporting this event to WHO? This is a critical question regarding, and we can find the answer to this question in the Article 2 of IHR, which defines the purpose and scope of the IHR, which is to prevent, prepare for, and respond to every outbreak of national or international concern. So in this part, we want to prevent the spread of a dangerous event. That's very simple. In a manner that is proportionate and specific to that risk, and avoid unnecessary disruption of international travel and trade. So, when we put in place the public health measures to prevent, prepare, and respond to a dangerous event, we would be very careful to not interfere the international travel and trade. Otherwise, we would confront issues with other sectors. So in fact, Article 2 of IHR is the same inherent responsibility of communicable diseases prevention and control at the provincial and national level. So this article has just brought an international dimension to that our inherent role. That is combating the international spread of disease. The next question, 3.1. Are the province essentially responsible for reporting this outbreak to the country's cities and for that center in turn to report that event to WHO? We can find the answer in Article 4, Para 2 of IHR that says national IHR focal point shall be available at all times 24/7 for contact with WHO. And the main points, the main roles of national IHR focal points are urgent reports to WHO. And this also transfers to the provincial level, urgent reports to the national level. And in Article 6 to 12 of IHR, we can also find the different responsibilities of the province and the national level. I think that our colleagues during his presentation mentioned about the verification. And verification, you can find it in Article 10 of IHR. And separating relevant information received from irrelevant information. Then merging relevant data, then disseminating the information to the relevant executive sectors. This procedure is called triage or screening of relevant information. I think you mentioned that. And what is the role of provincial health center where the e-health event occurred? In Annex 1, Para 5 of IHR, it says gathering more health information about the event, deploying the provincial team in this part when the district has requested for assistance from its higher level, it's clear that the province should send the provincial rapid response team to accompany and assist the relevant two districts or counties. And what are the responsibilities of the rapid response team? It mainly performs two tasks: rapid risk assessment and outbreak investigation. I think this is very clear for the public health experts. And also implementing further control measures, examining or shipping the laboratory samples to more advanced labs. And the result of this, the answer to this question, the first task of rapid response team is assessment of the risk of the occurred outbreak using a very important tool in our IHR, which is included in Annex 2 of the regulations. So it's the main task of rapid response team, the provincial rapid response team, in assisting the national level. That is rapid risk assessment using the tool in Annex 2 of IHR, and also submit an outbreak report to the IHR National Focal Point. Now, let's go for the next group discussion, which I think you'll find this part interesting, because in this part, we try to get more knowledge and also skills to do a rapid risk assessment using the tool in Annex 2 of IHR. So let me share with you the next part of the scenario for a small group discussion. Navira, is it visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So kindly please read the scenario for the groups, and then we have, I would suggest 15 minutes for discussion, because this part is need
آیجا
more
میشه
elaboration.
خواهش کنم فول اسکرینش هم کنین، یه خورده ریز اگه درشتر بشه. مرسی.
Navira, kindly please read this part of the scenario.
Okay, scenario number 4. So after the provincial health CEO initially informed the DG of the national CDC, she immediately dispatches a rapid outbreak response team to the outbreak region, consisting of provincial RT staff accompanied by the national CDC and Pasteur Institute to perform the risk assessment and outbreak investigation. The RD travels to the mentioned counties. The team's initial investigation of the outbreak reveals that 120 people were admitted to the hospitals in the two counties with symptoms of cough, shortness of breath, and cyanosis. 10 people have died, two of whom are hospital staff. As soon as oxygen mask is removed, their oxygen saturation drops to about 60%. Some of the hospitalized patient and 5 of the deceased had a history of traveling to the tourist area in the neighboring country mentioned in the rumors. and the other three deceased were their close friends or family members. It seems that the two deceased hospital staff did not believe in and observe using personal protective equipment. The RT's investigation revealed that there are concerns about the shortage of the health personnel in the two counties, their salaries and benefits, equipment and consumables in the hospitals in the two cities, especially ICU beds, ventilators, and the low capacity of the oxygen generators. The provincial reference laboratory has not yet been able to identify the causative pathogen, and they are requesting assistance from the provincial health CEO after sending respiratory samples to the National Reference Laboratory of the School of Public Health and the Pasteur Institute in Tehran. Efforts to determine the type of pathogen are still continuing. After receiving this initial report from the outbreak investigation team, the provincial health CEO will submit the report to the DG of the national CDC in the Ministry of Health as the national authority responsible for the implementation of the international health regulations in the country, IHR and FP.
Continue, please.
Okay. So now that the outbreak investigation team has provided the necessary initial information, the CDC Director General seeks the opinion of the provincial health CEO, who is responsible for implementing these regulations at the provincial level, as to whether it is necessary to report this outbreak of acute respiratory disease to the WHO. Then the CEO seeks the opinion of the provincial CDC director and his technical deputy in a meeting. In this regard, the following questions are raised in the technical meeting between provincial health CEO, his technical deputy, and the provincial CDC director. The DG of the national CDC is present virtually. Now that it is obvious that the country, the national CDC, as the IHR NFP, is responsible for reporting specific events, unusual events with the potential for the international spread to the WHO. Question 4.1: is the current incident outbreak of the acute respiratory infection in the two border counties a PHEIC public health emergency of international concern? Question 4.2: what tools should be used to make an objective decision free from personal judgment bias and provide good advice to the esteemed DG of the national CDC? Question number 4.3: as a result, should the provincial health CEO recommend to the DG of the national CDC to report it to WHO? You can use the IHR book to answer this question.
Thank you so much, Navira. So over the groups for 15 minutes, please.
Picture ले ली इसकी? Yes.
Okay, sir,
Yeah.
we Yes, we have prepared and one volunteer is going to present the answer.
Okay, I appreciate that. Please.
Salam alaikum, everybody. So I represent the group 3. The question is the current incidence in two borders counties a PHEEC? To determine this, the first thing is that we use the EHR 25 Annex 2 decision institution, which is based on 4 different criteria. So the first one is, does the event have a serious public health impact? The response is yes. Over 127 respiratory cases has been reported with a rapid increase in the hospitalization need. The second criteria question is the event unusual or it's unexpected? The answer is yes. The pathogen appears new or has not previously been detected in this area. The third criteria is, the question is there a significant risk of international spread? The answer is yes. The affected counties are located on an international border with the heavy tourism traffic. The criteria 4, the question is there a significant risk of travel or trade restriction? The answer is yes. Public concern and social media rumor could lead to travel bans and economic disruption. So, in conclusion, because of the fourth criteria are met, the event should be considered a potential PHEEC and must be reported through the EHR mechanism. Thank you. So this is the first question. The question 4.2 is, what tools should we use to make an objective decision and provide good advice to the estimate DG and national CDC? The IHR 2005 Annex 2 decision institution is the official tools. Additional supporting tools, we have standardized outbreak reported and verification form, the WHO rapid risk assessment templates, the epidemiological and laboratory data validated by national, provincial CDC experts, and finally, meeting minute of documentation, ensuring decisions are evidence-based on basing. So we've just have answered about the first and second question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please give her a clap.
Okay.
Oh,
Sir, they have answered only for 4.1 and 2, not the 3. So answer for the third question is yes, he should recommend to the DG to report to the WHO. Like according to me.
okay. Thank you so much for everybody for your active participation in the group discussions. At this part, I would like to suggest you guys to have a 5 minute break for refreshment, and when you go back to the conference hall, I would present this part for you about the 4 criteria in rapid risk assessment according to IHR. Thank you so much.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
نه استراحت چیزه تنفس. نه وقت نیست. به نظر خودم خوب بود، ولی بعدا باید بازخورد بچه های پاستا رو بگم که اونجا 5 دقیقه از تنفس به غذا نمیشه. ها اینجا تو گوشمه دیگه، بلوتوسه. چی؟ نه ایپوش فکر کنم صبح بود، ولی صبح اومده بود اونجا. صبح اومده بود اداره. چی؟ معاون قبلی چی؟ نشاتی؟ یه روز دیگه بوده صحبتش. فکر کنم روز آخریه که دسته ایران داره. چی؟ من سخنرانم. یه عده دانشجو از کشورهای مختلف اومدن. برام 5 دقیقه‌ای تموم کنم. خیلی برای خودم جالب بود، یعنی کارگاهیش کردم با وجود که مجازی. فرصت بحث گروهی دادم، سوال جواب شد، ولی اونایی دیگه فکر کنم فقط سخنرانی کرد.
Hello, Professor. Hello, Professor. We will be back in 2 minutes.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
چرا چیز شد؟ چرا؟
Sorry, Professor. The break got a bit longer. Okay, sorry, Professor. Can you hear us? Yes. Your mic is muted. Can you please unmute your mic, Professor Kemal? Okay,
Can you
thank
hear
you.
me?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. And is my screen visible?
Yes, yes,
Let-
you are visible.
Okay. Let me hide this floating panel. So the answer to question 4.1. Is the current event a public health emergency of international concern or fake? Now we know that the country is responsible for combating the international spread of disease. And any event with such a potential must be reported to WHO and also to domestic agencies, national agencies. So basically, the question was, is this event fall under the IHR and need to be reported? According to Article 6 of IHR, which is the initial notification, each state party shall assess the event, its geographical territory, its jurisdiction, based on the decision-making tool contained in Annex 2, ideally within 48 hours after detection. So, any event, including any outbreak, should use this tool to to actually determine whether it constitutes an international health emergency and should be notified by IHR national focal point to WHO. After completion of the rapid assessment, we should ideally report to WHO, notify WHO about such an event in 24 hours. So 48 hours ideally for assessment of the risk. And after we determine it's a fake, potential fake, we should notify WHO in 24 hours after the completion of the rapid risk assessment. And the health measures taken in the response should also be notified. Conclusion up to this point that it is a fake that must be reported to WHO, and we should use Annex 2 to determine whether we are facing a fake and clarify the general and definition that I delivered in my previous parts of the presentations. Now we should actually give you a clear understanding of a fake. Article 10, para 2b, says that sometimes the country itself does not automatically conduct a risk assessment according to Article 6 for any reason. For example, failure to recognize the event in time or refusal to report for political reasons, whatever. But WHO is informed through other channels, that's, for example, through another country, Article 9. and request verification from the affected country. So the Article 10 is about the verification, whatever the source is, the country itself or the WHO. So here in Article 10, WHO compensates and assists for the failure of the country to identify the event by itself. In this case, the affected country must take the necessary measures within a reasonable time frame. That after the verification request or after the detection of the event at the national level, we should do the rapid risk assessment ideally in 48 hours. And how? In Annex 1, Para 4b, it says that it is necessary to collect available health information about the event. So, for sure, to collect information, we need to send the outbreak to deploy the outbreak investigation team, or that is rapid response team, to collect and the information and make the initial report with the assistance of the province and national level. The conclusion of this slide is whether the investigation of the outbreak is initiated by the country itself, Article 6, or based on a request received from WHO, Article 10, the responsibilities of the county, province, and the national levels should do this investigation with the aid of a rapid response team. So the answer to question 4.2, what is the decision-making tool which is in Annex 2, and how can the provincial colleagues, sorry for this typo, it's the Iranian version, so I forgot to actually adapt it to the other countries' context. So how can province colleagues use this Annex 2 to provide good advice to the provincial health officer? The process that we will learn here is the IHR recommended methodology for rapid risk assessment, which is carried out based on the information collected and provided by the rapid response teams. This process, I mean the rapid risk assessment, is simpler than an outbreak investigation. Therefore, we expect to complete such an assessment in 2 days or 48 hours. Why? While you know that the outbreak investigation usually takes more time, at least 7 to 14 days. So rapid risk assessment is a better or simpler method to decide whether we should notify that event to the higher levels in WHO. And this is the decision-making tool that I recommended you to go to the IHR book and see the tool. And according to this tool, we should answer to 4 questions to determine whether this event constitutes a fake or public health emergency of international concern. The first question is the public health impact of the event serious? So the serious impact is the first criteria. The second criterion is the event unusual or unexpected? I will elaborate on this comprehensively, so don't worry about just mentioning the name of the criteria. The third criterion is there a significant risk of international spread? And the last one, is there a significant risk of international travel or trade restrictions? So, how can one determine whether a health event meets the criteria for a fake? If the event meets 2 criteria in this flowchart of decision making, or in this instrument, then it actually meets the criteria to announce a fake. So the initially vague definition of fake that I delivered in the first part of my presentation today. Now we have we actually come up with a somewhat clearer definition. That is, if we meet two criteria in the risk assessment instrument, the event is a fake. That are actually the initials of this actually long phrase, public health emergency of international concern. The next question to ask yourself is triage. When we should actually start this tool, this should we actually go to at the beginning of the flowchart for any event, or we should be more vigilant to put an event at the beginning of this risk assessment tool? For example, should a common cold epidemic be placed at the beginning of the flowchart to initiate the risk assessment process? In cases where the nature of the pathogen can be determined by a lab and it is performed and it's turned out as one of the epidemic-prone diseases, in the upper right square of decision-making tool, the Annex 2, let me just flash back for a while to show. I mean this actually top right box. If the laboratory investigation show us that we are facing with one of the diseases in this box, for example, cholera, pneumonic plague, yellow fever, etc. So we should actually, for sure, initiate the risk assessment process according to the four criteria. Why? Why the top right box is so important? Because epidemic-prone diseases always have serious impact and automatically meet the first criterion of the flowchart. If we face one of the diseases in the left top square, we do not need at all to actually start the risk assessment process, because those, for example, uh, uh, an influenza event with a new subtype of flu virus, we do not enter the flowchart and we go directly to the WHO notification box at the bottom, because those four diseases, for example, wild poliovirus, SARS, those four diseases meet the first two criteria, that is serious impact and unusual or unexpected event. So automatically they meet two criteria and they constitute a fake event and should be notified immediately to WHO. But about this scenario, the scenario of our training session, this scenario is the definitive diagnosis is not available at the moment. So we ask ourselves whether the event with unknown source or cause is defined in the country's syndromic surveillance system. This is a SARI event. A SARI event, severe acute respiratory infection, which is included in the list of targeted syndromes, targeted notified syndromes. So in this case, based on our experience in the country, in Iran, we would suggest that the middle box, which actually explains any event with unknown source or cause, we could benefit the targeted syndromes in the list of our own countries if it is one of those syndromes. For example, we target 17 syndromes. And we do not have any idea about the source or cause of that syndrome, it would actually be placed at the middle box, and we can go to the fourth criteria of the risk assessment. So this is the way that we can triage to initiate the risk assessment process using the Annex 2. So the outbreak in this scenario is associated with one of the acute respiratory syndromes targeted in our notifiable list of syndromes in E1. This is a SARI, that is middle square, public concern with unknown cause or unknown source. So we initiate the process of risk assessment. In addition, since it is likely to have been introduced by international travelers, as rightly mentioned by our colleague from the group 3, this is an event which is suspected to be transferred by the international travelers, and there is a potential international spread. So we are convinced to use the IHR risk assessment tool. Therefore, it seems to be related to the IHR. So we enter the next stage, that is further investigation as per Appendix 2. So it is necessary to rapidly assess the risk level. Now we want to gain more knowledge and skills in working with risk assessment tools and determining how we can say this is an international health emergency, or simply put, a dangerous event in terms of international spread. There are 11 questions that can be used to determine a positive or negative response to the 4 criteria in the risk assessment tool. We use 3 questions for the first criterion, 2 questions for the second criterion, 2 questions for the third criterion, and 4 questions for the fourth criterion. And we will deal with each question, and I make some examples that clarify the answer to each question when they are positive. There are 3 questions, as mentioned, that indicate whether a health event has a serious impact on the community health. The first one, as rightly mentioned by our colleague from Group 3, is the number of cases or fatalities from this event high for the location, time period, and population. This is actually currently high health impact. The second question, does the event have potentially high impact? So the first question is actual high impact. The second question is potential high impact. So is there evidence, are there evidences of potential cases or fatalities in the future? Maybe this question seems a little bit tricky, but I will elaborate in the next slide and it would be clearer for you. Is external assistance needed to identify, investigate, assess the risk, prevent, and respond to the event? It means insufficient capacity. So simply put, the 3 questions, actual high impact, the second one, potential high impact, and the third question is insufficient capacity in the area. It means shortage of human resources, shortage of skills, shortage of financial resources, technical equipment, and supplies, which needs higher level assistance in the country or sometimes from WHO, from the global level. If the answer to any of these questions is yes, the first criterion should be considered positive. But actually the examples of positiveness of each question, the actual high impact, the potential high impact, and the allegations for external assistance, needing an external assistance to prevent, detect, investigate, and respond. Actual evidence of high cases or cases, which is the case in this scenario. There are actual number of cases. For example, if we calculate the incidence, mortality, or case fatality rate, comparing it to the usual values for the same population, same location during the counterpart time period in the past, and seeing them exceed the usual threshold of endemicity, this question is considered positive. As you mentioned rightly, there are 120 cases and there are 10 fatalities, which actually which calculate which you if you calculate the case fatality rate, it's high. It's near 8 or 9% of fatality, which is actually significant. Does this event have the potential to have a high impact? What are the actually examples of the potential health impact in the future? The first question that would guide us through answering this question is identification of an EP-prone pathogen. The second question, because such a pathogen smells fatality in the future. The second one is identification of an epiprone material with natural or deliberate spread over a wide area, which actually inspires high impact in the future. The next example, identification of an antimicrobial resisting pathogen. The next, evidence of treatment or prevention failure. For example, vaccine failure or ineffectiveness of antibiotics and antidotes. High density population. For example, occurrence of the event in a mass gathering context. And having a vulnerable population such as refugees or internally displaced populations in the affected area. And what are the examples of the external assistance? The presence of factors that inhibit or delay the timely health response. For example, sanctions, war, crisis, extreme weather conditions. If the answer to any of these three questions is yes, the first criterion, that is serious public health impact, should be considered positive in the decision making tool. And the second criterion, questions that indicate whether a health event is epidemiologically unusual or unexpected. What does it mean, unusual? What does unexpected mean? In simple terms, unusual means rare or unknown. If the event is rare in the area, we consider this as unusual. What does unexpected mean? It means reoccurrence or new occurrence in that area. That means emerging and re-emerging diseases in the area, in simple public health terminology. You should ask two questions to assess this criterion of unusualness or unexpected event. The first question, does the event have unusual features that should raise concerns for the health system? What does it mean? Unusual, I will elaborate. And the second question, does the event have unexpected features? The first one, unusual features of the event. It could be unusual business dynamics. I would give you an example. It could mean unusual severe clinical symptoms. It could mean unusual epidemiological behavior. What are the examples about unusual disease dynamics? Unusual cause, unusual source, unusual vector or vehicle, unusual route of transmission. What are unusual severe clinical manifestations? For example, conversion of rhinovirus, cold symptoms from ILI, influenza-like illness, which is mild, to SARI, which is severe. Unusual epidemiological behavior, epidemic outbreak in an unusual population, unusual season, or unusual geographical area. What do we mean by unexpected features? As I mentioned, it means if the disease eradicated or eliminated in that area in the past, and now it is re-emerging, that could be an unexpected event. If the disease has never been reported in that area, that means emergence. So whether the disease, the outbreak is emerging or re-emerging, we consider that as an unexpected event. So again, if one of these questions answer is positive, then we consider the second criterion as positive. The third criterion, the potential or actual cross the border. Is the first question, is there evidence of epidemiological links to similar events in other countries? It means actual cross-border crossing, actual border crossing. Is there any reason to suspect potential cross-border movement? So actual cross-border movement of the event or potential cross-border movement. Examples, a history of travel by the index case to another country in the past month. A history of the index case attending a mass gathering, for example, tourism, pilgrimage, cultural sports in another country or in one's own country. Is there any reason to suspect potential cross-border movement? Examples, close contact of a healthy person in our own countries with an international traveler from the outbreak affected area. Close contact of a healthy person in his or her own country with a high mobility population from the outbreak area. For example, sailors, flight crew, transit drivers, refugees, Albanian pilgrims from a country following a dengue outbreak in that country. These are the actually examples of such a potential cross-border movement. Environmental contamination with potential for international spread. I mean, hazardous substances released through water, air, etc. This is a potential risk factor crossing. Outbreak in a border area with low health capacity. For example, low health capacity for detection, cleaning, disinfection, insecticide, rodenticide. In a busy border terminal, busy airport, port, or a border refugee camp. Again, if there is one positive question to one of these different examples, we consider the risk of international spread as positive. And the last criterion, significant risk of travel or international trade restrictions. The questions that can assess this criterion, first, history of international and trade restrictions in similar events in the past. The second one, export-import of a potentially suspected or confirmed contaminated source, product, water, or any other product. Three, occurrence of an event at an international gathering or in a busy international tourist area, which is the case for this scenario. Request for information from foreign governments or reporting of the event in foreign media, which actually would be a trigger for international concern. And what are the examples? History of international travel and trade restrictions. For example, the COVID-19 is the most familiar example, which actually affect badly the travel and trade in every country. Hemorrhagic fever syndromes, for example, in the West African countries during the Ebola outbreak, which actually affect trade and travel restrictions, travel and trade significantly. Export or import of potentially contaminated. For example, ban on import of fish caught off the coast of Japan after the tsunami and the Fukushima nuclear power plant accident by Southeastern Asian countries, which actually affected the importation of fish and marine products from Japan to those countries. Occurrence of an event at an international gathering, examples, detention of foreign pilgrims in Home City in Iran and Mashhad City in Iran in the early days of COVID-19, outbreak on foreign cruise ships in Japanese ports, which which led to prolonged quarantine of passengers on board, and everybody I think remember that event. Outbreak during the Olympic or World Cup games or pilgrimage gatherings, but this is hypothetical. And again, if the answer to any of these questions is yes, this criterion is considered positive. I think we have actually come up with the conclusion of this training session. So let me actually, for the sake of time, I would not deliver this part, but I would share my presentation to my colleague from the Evans Pasteur Institute, and she would kindly share the slides with you at the end of this training day. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Over to you. Doctor. Nabila, I think Tamina is not in
Yeah,
the
yes, I'm
conference
here, but
call.
I just, forgot to turn on the audio. Sorry, the mic was off. Thank you very much, Doctor. We learned we learned a lot from your expertise and your interesting presentation. Thank you for your time, and if you let us, we can just practice the last one and say goodbye.
Okay, thank you for your kind attention, and that would be my honor to have this opportunity. Thank you so much.
خیلی ممنونم.
Bye. خواهش میکنم.
با اجازهتون پس من دیگه مرسی.
Goodbye. خداحافظ.